People think older single men are isolated, but ask any man who has lived long enough, and you'll hear something far more interesting. Not loneliness, and definitely not regret. A different kind of strength, the kind a man finds when he finally lives the way he knows he should. And here's the twist. What older men value most isn't a relationship. It's having a solid brother in their corner when life turns serious. Not company, not romance, but solidarity, the kind that stays when everything else changes. Because after a certain age, a man understands this quietly but completely. Most of what made him the man he is today came from the brothers who showed up, not the relationships that came and went. The strongest chapters of his life aren't shaped by who he dated, but by who he stood with. Today, we're going to break open 9 deep shifts that older single men know better than anyone. The real reason brotherhood starts to matter more than anything else. Take a breath, because once you hear this, you won't look at your own journey the same way again. The betrayal of biology. There comes a stage in a man's life when the body keeps repeating an old script, but the soul has already moved on. Biology still whispers, be the shield, hold the load, stand in front. Yet life quietly answers back, you've earned a different place now. Most lessons hit harder when life teaches them, not people, not painful, just honest. A man wakes up one morning and understands that strength is no longer measured by how much he protects, but by how clearly he sees. David once said the strangest thing about aging was watching people treat his steadiness like it came easy. The role doesn't disappear, it transforms. A man steps out of the season of being needed for his power and steps into the season of being valued for his wisdom. The right man in your corner shows up like a porch light, solid, familiar, and impossible to replace. And this is where brotherhood becomes essential. Romantic love warms the heart. Brotherhood sharpens the purpose. 2 different roles, never enemies. A solid man in your circle sees who you are now, not the role you held years ago. He notices how life changed you, the lessons, the hits, and the adjustments no one else ever saw. No demands, no corrections. That kind of recognition hits harder than he expects. It changes how he stands moving forward. From that point, the way he moves through his days starts to change. And you can feel it. He treats you based on the man you are now, not the version people still see. Maybe nobody has said this to you lately, but the way you've kept going all these years already says a lot about the man you are now. Biology may cling to the past, but brotherhood anchors a man in his present power. And from that point on, he stops chasing the roles he outgrew and starts moving with men who fit the life he lives now. Like Epictetus said long ago, a man isn't truly free until he governs himself. The unshakable reliability. There's a moment in a man's life when he realizes something simple, and it changes the way he chooses the people around him. When trouble hits, emotions scatter, promises shrink, but one presence doesn't move. That is where brotherhood stands apart. Bob joked that the older he got, the more invisible he became, except when someone needed a favor. Not because it's dramatic, not because it makes speeches, but because he steps in without being asked. Here is the reset. A man eventually learns that reliability is not built from words. It's built from the moments when most people disappear, and one voice still answers. Older men spot this faster than younger men ever do. They've seen good times fade. They've watched people come and go. I once heard a man laugh about how folks disappear all year, then suddenly remember him when they need a truck. That kind of timing teaches you everything. After enough years, patterns are impossible to ignore. They've learned that affection can warm the heart, but reliability steadies the life. He responds when the situation is messy, inconvenient, or unfair. He steps in because he values the connection, not the comfort. You learn quickly who's real when you have nothing to offer but your time. That's when you see a man's real value. Not his words, but his pattern. Just a steady hand that doesn't collapse under pressure. That steadiness becomes a man's refuge, not because he is weak, but because he is human. A simple conversation with the right person can clean your mind better than a long speech. If that line sits close to your own experience, you can tap the like button so this message reaches more men who need it. Romantic love has its place, but brotherhood holds a different line. It is the insurance policy a man never bragged about, but always depended on. When life tests the structure he built, the truth finally settles. A reliable brother doesn't just help you survive the hard moment. He reminds you that you were never meant to face everything alone. The laboratory of truth. Every man wants at least one place where he doesn't have to act tough just to be heard or hold himself together just to be accepted. Most people only see the version you hold together. They see the clean surface, not the cracks underneath. So you learn to keep certain truths quiet, but a brother changes that. You can say things the way they are, not the way they should sound. Peter stood outside a small cafe and watched men his age walk in alone, each carrying a silence no one asked about. You don't have to shrink the mistakes. Every guy knows that moment when you fix something at home, break two other things, then pretend it was part of the plan. That's the kind of honesty men understand. Simple, unpolished, real. Real honesty starts there. And brotherhood becomes the one room where honesty isn't a risk. It's the entry ticket. He's not grading you. He's just listening. Some connections work like old engines. You turn the key and they start without noise or drama. Older men don't talk in circles. They say what's real and move on. Half of growth is just admitting you're tired of repeating the same mistakes and deciding you're done living that way. A brother hears the version of your story you don't dare say anywhere else, and still looks at you like you're capable of more than you think. Romantic love comforts the softer parts of you. Brotherhood strengthens the part that keeps your life on track. And when a man finally experiences that level of truth, something inside him steadies. He walks differently, straighter, clearer, because he knows he has one place where the truth won't punish him, it will sharpen him. The shared burden of loss. Every man holds losses he rarely speaks about. Some are recent. Every man has found something from years back and felt a jolt he didn't see coming. It's like finding an old jacket and a receipt from a life you barely keep in mind. A reminder that some chapters never fully close. An older man at the bar once told Elijah, "Son, they only call you strong when they've already forgotten what it cost you." Most people try to comfort you with sympathy, kind words, soft lines. But sympathy can only reach the surface. A real ally listens past the surface and meets you where the weight truly sits. He doesn't try to repair your grief. He recognizes it. Age teaches one thing well: shorter conversations, faster exits, and better filters. Because he's walked through his own, pain gets lighter when you're with someone who's been through something real too. That kind of understanding lands in a way nothing else can. It takes the pressure off your chest and gives you room to breathe again without explaining anything. Pain doesn't shrink when hidden. It becomes manageable when shared with someone who has tasted something similar. This is why older men value brotherhood so fiercely, not for celebration, but for survival. For the rare company of someone who understands loss from the inside, not from theory. There's a quiet strength in sitting beside a man who doesn't rush you or advise you to move on. He doesn't disappear or rush you. He just lets you take your time. And as Seneca reminded us, when a man holds his ground with a steady mind, hardship loses its force. Romantic love reaches for your heart. Brotherhood reaches for the part of you that endured the hits you handled quietly, the way men often do. And when you meet someone who has walked through his own heaviness with dignity, your guard drops a little. Not out of weakness, but out of recognition. Most men won't describe it this way, but doing nothing together can help more than a long conversation. He remembers that other men have walked through days like this and come out stronger. Life feels less harsh, and you realize something powerful. You were never meant to face every sorrow by yourself forever. And if you've spent years doing everything on your own, that doesn't make you wrong. It just means you carried more than any man should have to carry by himself. Sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is let another man sit with him in the dark until the path ahead starts to take shape again. The legacy construction crew. At some point, a man looks at his work and realizes building alone isn't the whole story anymore. The wins feel different. A man once told me that he didn't celebrate victories anymore. He just nodded, stretched his back, and kept working. Age changes the scoreboard. The days feel longer, and something inside begins to shift from what do I gain to what can I help move forward. Let's be honest. No man wants his story to fade into a stack of old photos. He needs a new job that counts, something real to push. And here's the part most men never say out loud. You rarely build anything lasting entirely by yourself, at least not without a cost. Even a small change can move a man ahead. Most men just want to work on things that make real sense at this age. Guidance, projects, contributions that shape someone else's path. And at this stage, progress feels better when it has company. It's not easy to open up your plans again after people have wasted your effort before, but the right man beside you turns that risk into strength instead of damage. A man can start things alone, even rebuild himself alone, but finishing strong almost always takes a crew. Sometimes it takes one calm voice to remind you that you're still built for the long run. Sometimes all it takes is one extra set of hands to turn a slow day into real progress. Every man feels better when he's building something that still matters today. And it feels good to work beside someone who shows up because he respects the effort, not the spotlight. It reminds him he's still in the game, not watching from the sidelines. And if you're the kind of man who's still building, not checking out, subscribing here just keeps you connected to the brothers walking the same road. A committed man aligns his effort with yours so the work grows instead of shrinking. Not to carry your vision for you, but to lock his effort to yours so the mission becomes bigger than either man could attempt on his own. Good work keeps going even when you're not there to watch it. Older men don't chase credit, they just want the job to keep moving. And nothing strengthens that impact more than working beside someone who shares your sense of direction. The right men in your circle feel like sturdy boots. You walk farther, straighter, and with less doubt. Suddenly the road ahead doesn't feel like a one-man job anymore. The noise of the world fades. A brother sees the same horizon you're aiming for. He doesn't pull you backward. A grounded man doesn't want you to lower your standards. He rises with you. This is why brotherhood feels irreplaceable at this stage of life. Not because it replaces love, but because it supports the part of you that still wants to build something meaningful. The competent self-identity. There's a moment when a man stops caring about compliments and starts caring about whether he can trust his own word. When you're younger, you want people to say you're capable. At a family gathering, Daniel realized he'd become the guy everyone counted on but no one checked in with. If there's a place to admit your flaws, there's also a place to raise your standards. And this is that place. Men don't let each other stay average. Nothing sharpens a man quicker than having another man expect the best from him, and men won't spell it out for you. They'll just buy a better tool than yours and give you that quiet grin. You know exactly what that means. As you grow, you want to know you are capable without needing anyone's permission. That's where brotherhood shifts the entire game. A real brother doesn't flatter you. He doesn't try to reshape you. He respects the framework you've built and challenges you to strengthen it. When a man stops explaining himself, people think he's distant. He's actually just tired of speeches that go nowhere. Ask any man in his 50s. Half the time, he saves energy by raising an eyebrow instead of raising his voice. He's not hiding. He's just choosing where his energy goes. That's how older men challenge each other. Simple signals, no speeches. It's about uncovering the parts of you that were always there, waiting for pressure to activate them. And brotherhood brings that pressure in the best way possible. Not by asking for more, but by pushing you in the very lane you're strongest in. Older men don't debate potential. They look at what you've already done and expect you to match it, through the quiet belief that you can rise higher than your current level. And the steady backing that proves he means it. He believes you can do more because he's seen you do it before. And that kind of belief feels different when it comes from someone who's built his life the same hard way you did. Older men feel this deeply, not because they seek approval, but because they respect the kind of man who raises the bar without saying a word. A man who respects you usually sees your habits, your lanes, and the spots where you're strongest. He sees your discipline, your habits, your blind spots. And instead of using them against you, he uses them to elevate you. Men push each other without making a big show out of it. And when a man who respects you points out what you're capable of, it sticks with honesty and loyalty. Your sense of direction becomes unmistakable. You decide faster and cleaner, because you're no longer performing for the world. You're living up to the man you said you would be, and walking beside someone who expects nothing less, because brothers keep you aligned with your own personal sovereignty, that place where only you decide how you live. The no-drama zone. There's a turning point in a man's life when he finally understands this. Peace is not a luxury, it's a discipline. Life gets cleaner when you stop letting small problems turn into big ones. Half a lifetime is enough time to waste on pointless arguments and long calls that demand emotional explanations. Older men don't lose patience. They simply protect the energy they have left. They don't argue circles anymore. They just cut the drain at the source. Life gets easier when the people around you keep things simple. If someone makes everything complicated, older men quietly step back. There's a point where you don't lose patience. You just stop offering it for free. Funny, Leon said once. People love your stability most when it's costing you the most. And that's where brotherhood stands apart. Someone said getting older is when you stop arguing and start charging interest on your peace. A grounded man adds order to your rhythm instead of scattering it, not through rules, but through the way he carries himself. Life becomes lighter when the people around you keep things straightforward, when conversations are direct, when expectations are simple, when energy flows instead of constantly being repaired. Older men value this more than anything, not because they are tired, but because they finally recognize how much strength is lost to unnecessary tension. A brother understands the language of ease. You don't walk on eggshells. One guy said the best part of getting older Holder is cutting out all the guessing games. He said, "If I have to decode you, we're done. Clean, simple. You expect people to say what they mean, nothing more. And when life hits harder, they stay just as clear. You know where you stand, even on the hard days. A well-worn pickup can tell you more about loyalty than 100 speeches. It shows up, takes the load, and keeps going. Grounded, functional. And this simplicity doesn't make the bond shallow. It makes it stronger. Because when the air is calm, men can focus on what actually matters. Goals, discipline, loyalty, consistency. Men improve quickly when their days aren't filled with chaos, where ideas rise, where a man regains the mental room he didn't realize he was losing. And the realization lands quietly but firmly. A no-drama connection is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of respect. When a man finds that kind of balance in his circle, his life expands, his decisions sharpen, his direction becomes easier to follow. Not because someone fixes his path, but because no one is pulling him off it. The unspoken language. Older men can read each other fast, not because they're mysterious, but because years teach you to notice the small things. You look at each other not because you rehearsed it, but because life taught you both the same lessons in different ways. Connection hits different when it doesn't need polishing, proving, or explaining. A shared nod, a brief glance, a shift in posture. Men don't overtalk when things matter. One clear look does the job. Communication doesn't always need words. Sometimes it needs history. Sometimes it needs scars. Sometimes it just needs another man who has stood in places similar to your own. Men seasoned by life appreciate this in a way that feels immediate and honest. Not out of loneliness, but because they've spent years translating themselves to people who never fully grasped how they think. With the right kind of man, you can talk half a sentence and he still gets the whole picture. That kind of ease is rare, and men know it when they feel it. It catches you off guard the first time because most men go years without experiencing that kind of clarity. You don't have to pretend you're someone else to be heard. It's not always easy to find someone who listens this way, and that's why it matters when it finally happens. Most men hit a point where they're done performing. There's nothing dressed up, just the way men talk when they're fixing something in the garage. The right kind of ease keeps your mind sharp, because when a man finally meets someone who understands his intentions without dissecting every sentence, he relaxes in ways he forgot were possible. Most men speak less as they age and somehow understand more, and the connection doesn't drain you. It helps you find your footing on the rough days. If a line in this chapter hit closer than you expected, drop a thought below. Men read what other men write. Sometimes it's the reminder they needed that day. The older a man gets, the more he enjoys the art of saying nothing and winning anyway. That's the core of the unspoken language. It isn't quiet, it's understanding without effort. And once a man experiences that alignment with another man, he no longer looks for loud approval or constant reassurance. He stands firmer, moves smarter, and lives with a grounded clarity that only grows when two men read the world through the same lens. The final stand. There comes a point in every man's journey when he stops counting achievements and starts asking a quieter question. What did my life actually mean? Not to the world, not to history, but to the ones who walked the long stretches of life right beside him. At this age, recognition hits different when it comes from a man who respects the way you carry yourself day after day. Not the polished version, not the public version, but the version you held through the storms and the rebuilding. This is where brotherhood reveals its deepest value. A good man measures you by your consistency, how you act when no one needs to tell you what the right move is. He remembers the small choices you made when things were tough, the ones that showed your character without you saying a word. He knows the stretch of days you pushed through without a single witness. Every man keeps in mind at least 1 week where everything fell apart, but he still held the line like nothing happened. Those weeks shape a man more than any praise ever could. Older men don't brag about endurance, they just keep moving. He knows the choices you made when no one was watching, the kind that shaped your character more than any accomplishment it ever could. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, don't argue about what a good man should be. Live it. It's strange. People admire your steadiness most right after they forget what it took to earn it. A solid man in your corner gives you stability without making a show of it. He doesn't forget who you were when courage was required, not rewarded. What matters most is how a man moved through his days, not how many people were watching. And it's never perfect. No man gets every day right, but he keeps showing up anyway. Honor isn't given at the finish line. It's witnessed by the ones who saw how you traveled the road. And older men understand this with an honesty that youth rarely touches. A solid man doesn't praise lightly. If he tells you you've done well, it's because he's watched your habits, not the highlight reel. That acknowledgement holds a different weight than praise. It settles deeper, not because it flatters you, but because it comes from someone who paid the same price life demanded from you. Most men notice steady habits more than big stories, the quiet routines, the choices you make when no one's asking. He knows the decision you made quietly. He understands the work behind the man you chose to become. That kind of recognition hits harder than praise because it comes from someone who has carried the same kind of days on his back. And when a man you respect acknowledges your way of living, it lands differently. This is why older men value brotherhood, not for attention, but for the kind of clarity only another disciplined hand can give, for the presence of one man who can stand beside you and say, yes, I saw your journey, and you lived it with dignity. In the end, a man just wants to feel he lived the right way, not to be celebrated, but to be understood by someone who walked the battlefield with him and still calls him worthy. This isn't a rejection of love. It's an understanding of what gets a man through the harder passages of life. Love brings warmth. Brotherhood brings steadiness. Each has its place. Each has its role. But as men grow older, one truth becomes unmistakable. There are challenges a partner may offer comfort during, and challenges only a brother can stand shoulder to shoulder with you in. Because brotherhood isn't built on romance or promises. It's built on shared battles, shared rebuilding, shared endurance. It's the bond that rises when the world grows unpredictable and you need someone who knows exactly how you were forged. Choose them well because character demands accountability. And every older single man eventually realizes this. The men who stood with you in your rise, your collapse, your rebuilding, and your becoming, those are the men who know your name in a way life can't erase. If you have even one brother like that, someone who didn't disappear when life got sharp, someone who stayed long enough to see you grow into the man you are today, honor him. Tell me in the comments, who is that man for you? And what did he help you survive that you couldn't have faced alone? Stand tall, choose your circle with intention, and keep the men who would go to the edge with you. Because in the end, those are the bonds that outlast everything else. I'll see you in the next chapter.